I was home by 9:30 most nights. Not because I had nowhere else to be, but because I genuinely enjoyed my evening routine. Dinner at 7, a book until 9, then bed by 10. Weekends followed similar patterns. I worked as a financial analyst, left the office at 5:15 daily, and had maintained this schedule for 6 years. My sister Diane found this existence baffling. She was spontaneous, always posting pictures from concerts or weekend trips. Her 3 kids, ranging from 17 to 22, had inherited her energy. They were constantly busy, their social calendars packed with activities I couldn't begin to track. The contrast became a running joke at family gatherings. "Is Beth coming?" my niece Kayla would ask, already knowing the answer. "Or does she have another exciting night of Netflix planned?" "Leave your aunt alone," Diane would say, though she'd be smiling. Not everyone needs constant stimulation. I never took offense. My life worked for me. I had savings, no debt, a well-maintained apartment, and genuine contentment. Their chaos seemed exhausting. The Friday before Thanksgiving, Diane hosted dinner. All 3 kids were there. Kayla, 22, and working in marketing, Tyler, 19 and home from college, and Mason, 17, a high school senior. I arrived at 6:30 with a store-bought pie. "Beth," Diane hugged me, already holding a glass of wine. Perfect timing. Kids are in the living room. The living room was loud. Kayla was showing Tyler something on her phone. Mason was texting rapidly. "Hey, Aunt Beth," Kayla said without looking up. "Let me guess, you came straight from home?" "I did." "What were you doing before this?" "Let me guess, organizing your spice cabinet alphabetically?" Tyler snorted. "She probably has a spreadsheet for her spreadsheets." "Actually, I was reading," I said mildly. "Just finished a book on economic theory." "Riveting," Mason muttered, his eyes still on his phone, truly living on the edge. Dinner was pleasant enough, though conversation constantly circled back to their adventures. Kayla's upcoming Miami trip, Tyler's fraternity formal, Mason's plans for a concert. "What about you, Beth?" Diane asked. "Any exciting plans?" "I'm refinancing my mortgage. Rates dropped, so I'm saving about $400 a month." Silence, then Tyler started laughing. "That's the most Aunt Beth thing I've ever heard." "Aunt has no life, she's always home." Kayla joined in. "God, I'd die if my weekends involved mortgage paperwork." "It's actually quite satisfying," I said. "That $400 monthly adds up to nearly $5,000 annually." "Retirement planning," Mason said dramatically. "You're 41. Do you ever just live in the moment?" "I live plenty. I just prefer predictability." "You prefer boring," Tyler corrected, grinning. Diane finally intervened. "Okay, enough. Beth's responsible, and there's value in that." But the damage was done. The rest of dinner featured subtle digs about my predictable existence. I smiled through it and left by 8:30. At home, I changed into comfortable clothes, made tea, and settled in with a book. By 10:15, I was in bed. My phone sat on the nightstand, charging, ringer on, just in case. The call came at 3:07 in the morning. I woke instantly, the way people do when their phone rings at an hour reserved for emergencies. Kayla's name lit up my screen. "Hello." My voice was surprisingly clear for someone who'd been deeply asleep seconds earlier. "Aunt Beth." Kayla's voice was small, frightened, nothing like the confident young woman who'd been mocking my life 8 hours earlier. "I'm so sorry to call, but I need help." I was already sitting up, turning on the lamp. "What's wrong?" "I'm stranded. My car died, and I'm on Route 47, and I don't know what to do. I tried calling Mom, but she's not answering and I'm kind of freaking out." Route 47, rural highway, minimal lighting. Not much traffic this time of night. "Are you safe? Is the car completely off the road?" "Yeah," I pulled onto the shoulder, "but it's really dark, and there's no one around, and my phone's at 30%. "Okay." I was already out of bed, pulling on jeans. "First, lock your doors. Keep the hazards on. I'm coming to get you, but I'm about 40 minutes away. Can you text me your exact location?" "You're coming?" She sounded stunned, then relieved. "Oh my God, thank you." "Stay in the car, doors locked, until you see my blue Honda. I'll flash my lights." "Okay, thank you so much." I grabbed essentials because having basics mattered. My car was in its assigned spot, exactly where it always was. I plugged in my phone, entered Kayla's location, and started driving. Route 47 at 3:30 in the morning was exactly as desolate as I'd imagined. Dark fields on either side. Occasional farmhouses with no lights on. I found Kayla's silver set-in on the shoulder, hazards blinking weakly. I pulled up behind her, flashed my lights twice, and watched as she scrambled out of her car. She was in a short dress and heels, no jacket, clearly dressed for wherever she'd been before the breakdown. She looked cold, scared, and very young. "Get in," I said, unlocking the passenger door. She climbed in gratefully, and I immediately turned up the heat. "I'm so sorry," she started, but I held up a hand. "First things first, are you hurt? Did anything happen before the car died?" "No, it just stopped. All the lights on the dashboard lit up, and then it was dead." "Okay, have you been drinking?" She hesitated and nodded. "I was at a party, but I wasn't drunk, I swear. I had 2 drinks over, like 4 hours. I felt completely fine to drive." "Where was the party?" "Trenton." I was heading home. Trenton was an hour from her house. She'd made it about halfway before the breakdown. "Why didn't your friends drive you home?" Another pause. "I kind of left early. There was drama, and I just wanted to go." So she left alone, at 3 in the morning, from a party an hour away. And now her car was dead on a rural highway. I thought about all the things that could have gone wrong beyond a mechanical failure. "Your mom's not answering." "She's in Atlantic City with her boyfriend. They went for the weekend." I tried calling like 6 times. Atlantic City. Casinos, shows. Probably a hotel room where Diane had silenced her phone to enjoy her spontaneous weekend getaway. Tyler or Mason couldn't help. Tyler's at school. Mason's at a friend's house, and he doesn't have his license yet anyway. So I'd been her only option. The boring aunt who was always home, predictably available, reliably present. "All right, we'll deal with the car in the morning. I'm taking you to my place tonight. Tomorrow we'll call a tow truck and figure out what's wrong with your vehicle." "My place?" She looked surprised. "It's almost 4 in the morning. I'm not driving you all the way to your house just to turn around and drive 40 minutes back to mine. You can sleep on my couch." "Oh, okay, thank you." We drove in silence for a while. Kayla was shivering despite the heat, the adrenaline crash hitting her. I handed her a water bottle and a granola bar. "Eat something, you'll feel better." She obeyed quietly, nibbling the bar like a child. "Aunt Beth?" Her voice was small again. "I'm really sorry about what we said at dinner, about your life being boring and everything. We'll talk about it later. Right now, just rest." Back at my apartment, I gave her sweatpants and a t-shirt, showed her where the bathroom was, and set her up on the couch with blankets and pillows. She was asleep within minutes, exhausted from fear and relief. I went back to my room but didn't sleep. Instead, I sat up thinking about that moment when my phone rang, when Kayla needed help and I was the one she could count on. Not because I was exciting or spontaneous or fun, but because I was exactly what they'd mocked me for being: predictable, available, boring. At 7 in the morning, my phone buzzed with multiple texts from Diane. She finally checked her phone. "Kayla just texted me. She said her car broke down and you drove out to get her at 3 a.m.? Are you serious? Thank you so much. Why didn't you call me first? I would have handled it. Is she okay?" "I'm heading back now," I replied simply. "She's fine, sleeping on my couch. She tried calling you 6 times. Your phone was off." 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before Diane's next message. "I feel terrible. I didn't think to check my phone. Thank God she had you." I didn't respond to that. Kayla woke around 9, looking embarrassed and grateful in equal measure. I made breakfast. Scrambled eggs and toast, nothing fancy. We ate quietly at my small kitchen table. "I called the tow truck," I said. "They'll take your car to the mechanic near your house. I'll drive you home after breakfast." "You don't have to do that." "I know." She pushed her eggs around her plate. "Last night was scary. I kept thinking about all the things that could have happened if you hadn't come, if you hadn't answered. But I did answer. Because you were home, because you always are." She looked up at me. "I made fun of you for that." "You did." "I'm sorry, really sorry. Not just because you rescued me, but because I was mean about something that's actually really great. You have your life together. You're responsible and reliable. And I acted like that was something to laugh at." "Why did you?" I asked genuinely. "Why does my lifestyle bother you?" She thought about it. "I think because it makes me feel bad about mine. Mom's always talking about living in the moment and being spontaneous, and that's how we all try to be. But then I see you, and you're so calm and organized, and you have savings and a nice apartment, and you never seem stressed. And maybe I'm jealous, because I'm always stressed, always worried about money or plans or whether I'm doing enough exciting things. Exciting doesn't mean fulfilling, I said quietly. I chose this life deliberately. After years of chaos, I decided I wanted peace. Some people need adventure. I need stability. I'm starting to see the value in that. I drove her home around 10:30. Diane's car was in the driveway and she came rushing out before we even parked. Kayla, are you okay? She hugged her daughter tightly, then turned to me. Beth, I don't know what to say. Thank you doesn't feel like enough. It's fine. It's not fine. You drove out in the middle of the night because I was unreachable. She looked genuinely distraught. I'm her mother. I should have been available. You were having a weekend away. That's allowed. But my phone should have been on. What if something worse had happened? I didn't answer that because we were both thinking it. The thing is, Diane continued, you were there, like you always are, and have made jokes about your boring life, but the truth is, you're the most reliable person in this family. When there's an actual emergency, you're the one everyone can count on. Mason and Tyler had appeared on the porch, watching this exchange. Tyler walked over, hands in his pockets. Kayla told us what happened. That's really cool of you, Aunt Beth, coming to get her like that. Anyone would have done it. But you did do it, Mason added. And you were able to because of all the stuff we make fun of you for, being home, having your phone on, being the responsible one. I prefer to think of it as having my priorities straight, I said lightly. Over the next few weeks, something shifted in how my sister's family treated me. The jokes about my boring life didn't stop entirely, but they lost their edge. Kayla texted me occasionally, asking for advice about budgeting and saving. Tyler called once to ask how I'd chosen my retirement accounts. Even Mason seemed more thoughtful when family conversations turned to lifestyle choices. Diane invited me to lunch, just the two of us, at a quiet restaurant. I've been thinking about that night, she said over salads. About how I've set up my life to be spontaneous and fun, but that meant I wasn't available when Kayla actually needed me. You can't be available every second. No, but I can stop treating responsibility like it's boring. I've been so focused on not being the uptight parent that I forgot there's value in being the reliable one. She paused. You've had that figured out for years and I dismissed it. Different life stages, different priorities. Maybe, but I'm starting to think your way isn't as boring as I made it out to be. It's actually kind of impressive. The real change came at the whole family gathered at my father's house, and when conversation turned to New Year's plans, Kayla mentioned she was staying home. Really? Diane looked surprised. I thought you and your friends were doing that party in Philadelphia. I decided to skip it. Going to start the year focused on my goals instead of being hungover at some stranger's house. Kayla glanced at me. Figured I'd take a page from Aunt Beth's book. The boring book? Tyler asked, but he was smiling. The smart book, Kayla corrected. The one where you make choices based on what you actually want, not what looks good on Instagram. I didn't say anything, just sipped my coffee and enjoyed the moment. That night, as I drove home to my quiet apartment with my predictable routine waiting for me, I thought about that 3 a.m. phone call, about being the person someone calls when they're scared and stranded and need help, about how reliability isn't exciting, but it matters. Maybe more than excitement does. My phone rang as I pulled into my parking spot. Kayla's name lit up the screen. Hey, I answered. Hey, Aunt Beth, I just wanted to say thanks again for everything, but especially for showing me that boring isn't actually boring, it's just sustainable. I'm glad you see it that way now. Can I ask you something? How did you figure out what kind of life you wanted? I thought about it, sitting in my car in my assigned spot under the familiar streetlight. I stopped trying to live anyone else's version of interesting and started building what made me feel peaceful. Turns out peace looks pretty boring from the outside, but it feels good on the inside. It feels exactly right. After we hung up, I went upstairs to my apartment, where everything was exactly where I'd left it. Predictable, organized, quiet. I made tea, picked up my book, and settled into my evening routine. Boring maybe, but when the phone rang at 3 in the morning, I'd been ready. And that made all the difference.